Welcome to Story Chats at Inspy Romance. I'm Elizabeth Madry, and I'm here with my two co-hosts.
I'm Narelle Atkins.
I'm Valerie Comer.
Today we are talking about CCR set in Alabama and Tennessee. I looked at the remaining states of the South and realized that we were going to be there forever if we didn't pick things up a little bit. So I've combined the last remaining states into pairs.
We could have been here forever. I mean, that would have been okay too, to take a couple years to get through.
Yeah.
Right. No
As
deal.
it is, my goal is hopefully to get through the rest of the United States in 2023. That's my goal.
Then what are we going to do next year?
I don't know, countries. I don't know. Start over.
We'll think of something.
Yeah, we'll come up with something. I didn't have any questions about Alabama or Tennessee generically. Do you guys have any observations or statements about Alabama and Tennessee, or should we just jump in?
I could not find any CCR in Alabama that I had read. Okay. I have read all sorts of other Christian fiction books in Alabama. So I thought, oh, I'm fine. I'll just go look for it the day before we do the podcast. Everything will be sweet. And then I worked out all these books that Alabama just wasn't on my radar. So everything I'm talking about is Tennessee.
Fair enough.
As a result. Yeah.
And Tennessee is pretty broad. I mean, with Nashville and it's, country music and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There must be a lot, notice the way I'm wording that, a lot that might be set around that type of thing. The ones that I have chosen to talk about aren't.
Okay.
But it seems as though that would be a thing. And I honestly don't know what Alabama's thing is.
Okay. So being Southern, I guess. I don't know. It's Alabama.
Yes,
the only
cat is leaving. She's not. We're just not having patience today.
No. The thing I think about with Alabama is the movie My Cousin Vinny. That's what when I think of Alabama, I think of the movie My Cousin Vinny, which is a oft quoted movie in our household. So, but that doesn't help us with CCR at all.
Well,
we need a hilarious movie. It's from the 80s, but it's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, Sweet Home Alabama is what I think of, but I know you don't like that movie.
So no, I hate that movie.
Come up on your radar.
Reese Witherspoon movie I've seen that I just absolutely despise. Yeah, everything about that movie I hate.
It's a love triangle, so that's fine.
Yeah. Sorry, Valerie's like, we're here to talk about books, not movies.
That I hated. Books we love, not books or movies we hated.
Go back to books. Fine.
Yes, books.
All right. Who wants to start? Narelle, why don't you start?
I will start. So this is the first book I thought of for Tennessee, and it's Pieces of Forever by Valerie and Bodden. And the reason I thought of this is that a dog gets attacked by a bear in this book, and that's the Aussie. The thought of being anywhere near a bear is terrifying. The thought that bears could actually do something is more terrifying. And the fact it actually attacked a dog is just, that just blew my mind. And so that's what I'll always remember this book for, is the poor dog. So I've actually talked about Pieces of Forever before in episode 75 in a recent reads episode. So you can go back and do some searching and look for it. So in this one, we've got Joseph's the hero. He's a vet. The heroine is a photographer. Her name's Ava. In high school, there was an accident and she was quite severely burned. So she's very self-conscious about her appearance. Her ideas of having a modeling career go out the window after the accident. And so she's effectively living as a hermit and doesn't see people very much and photographs things. And then, of course, her dog gets attacked by a bear and she has to rush to the vets. Yeah, and so she has to rush to the vets. And, of course, the new vet in town, she wasn't aware there'd been a change, is the hero, Joseph. So that's what kicks off the story. So I really enjoyed this one, and it has Tennessee wilderness, it's small town, so it ticks all the boxes for this episode.
Excellent.
Including bears.
Including
bears.
Yes,
including bears. Tennessee has bears. I don't know that Alabama has bears, but it's all good.
The first Tennessee book that I have on my list, I have two Tennessees and an Alabama, so we'll go with that, is An Irresistible Woman by Zoe McCarthy. So we have a model who is from Chicago, and she's been in, I think, Virginia on a shoot, and she has an altercation with her director, I guess, and heads for Tennessee to her friend's place, barefoot in her sports car, wearing the fashion gown, and gets way down there and finds out that she didn't even grab her wallet. So this is not her finest moment.
No.
So, and then her car breaks down because, of course, why wouldn't it?
Plus,
Plus, I mean, she could only go so much further without buying gas anyway, right? I mean, she was gonna get stranded. So she's discovered by Braden, who is a home improvement store manager, and she somehow winds up staying with his mother for a while she waits for her purse to be couriered to her so she can fix her car. And while she deals with the fallout from walking away from her job. And does she really want to go back to the high pressure job? The answer obviously is no, or else she wouldn't have landed up in Tennessee, right? But this was one I read, I think, last year. The setting of Tennessee is well described, and it could make a person want to visit. I think it's just the curvy roads in the hills, the views, the vistas, the trees. It was well portrayed as a place I would like to visit.
Sounds good.
So I have Alabama. Hannah Jo Abbott has a series set in Alabama. Her Sweet Home Billionaires are all in Alabama.
Okay,
the first is Small Town Billionaire. And I love these books because the billionaire guys are just like down home Alabama boys. They're not, they're not fancy. Even the ones who were in New York City who've moved home, New York City didn't rub off on them. They're little Alabama boys, sweet Southern gentlemen. And I like the fact that they're the kind of billionaires that I like to read and write. They use their money to solve problems. They use their money for Jesus. They aren't just throwing it around going, look at me, I'm so rich and amazing. And they're not using it to coerce women. All the bad rap that billionaire books that aren't Christian get. These are not them. These are fabulous, sweet Alabama Southern boys.
And which is the first one in that series?
Small Town Billionaire.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would never have thought of billionaires in Alabama.
In
a million years, I would never have thought to look at billionaires to look for Alabama. And maybe that says something about me and my perceptions of the world. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think it would be rare to have an Alabama billionaire. It could happen, but it seems like they would probably move out of Alabama.
Well, they started out of Alabama and came back, right?
And came back.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just you get that Alabama sort of flavor
and the
in
small
there.
town.
Yeah.
I did read those. It's been 2-3 years now, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. So they were interesting. I'd forgotten they were Alabama though.
Yep. What's your next one, Valerie?
Well, my next one is Alabama, and it's an older one, Marriage of Convenience by Deborah Lynn Collins. And I don't think Deborah is writing anymore, which is too bad.
I liked her. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the story. It starts out with an old man who wills his quarter horse ranch to his hired hand and his grandson. And the two have never met, but he stipulates that they need to be married within 3 months, and their marriage needs to last for 9 months. And if they don't do that, then a charity will get the horse ranch. So Lily is a single mom with a 5-year-old boy, and she had come across this old man. I think he'd fallen on the street or something, and she'd helped him up and got him to a doctor, and they'd hit it off, and he'd offered her a job and blah, 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 because his family has basically walked away from him because of some choices he'd made in years gone by, including the grandson, Bryce, who's from New York, but New York hasn't been going really well for him lately, and he doesn't want to just walk away from this horse ranch but there's enough believable tension in the first couple chapters that, you know, they're not both just going, well, you know, he, she, they look okay, sure, why don't we, yeah, we can give it a whirl, like whatever. There's a lot of tension in there at first. So it's one of the few Eastern ranch stories that I've ever read, and it's stuck with me. As soon as the these two states came up in my newsfeed as like, this is what we're going to be talking about next time, I was like, oh, I betcha Deborah Lynn Collins is, yeah. And when I went to look, I was right. So yeah, that one's Alabama.
Excellent.
Alabama.
What you got, Narelle?
Okay, so my second one is A Kinder Country Christmas by Krista Phillips, which is set in Tennessee. So in episode 52, we did a Christmas episode and looked at a couple of books, and this was one that we mentioned. So I don't need to go into too much detail, but basically it's set in a tourist mountain town in Tennessee, and the heroine is Sadie, and her parents have Bethlehem's Boutique, has been the Christmas store that they've had for years and years and that she's inherited. And Sadie's got a teenage daughter who needs to go to college, and she's short of money. So she's quite strapped financially when the book starts. And then Nate is the former bad boy who's back in town. And the thing I remember about this book is the meet cute and the Christmas tree incident. Like, that just stands, it was just hilarious.
Yes.
And you know how we talk about rom-coms, sometimes we don't laugh out loud. This was a laugh out loud crying. It is so funny. It takes 5 minutes to get back to actually reading the book funny. So I really enjoyed this one. If you like rom-coms, it's a good one. And it's set in Tennessee, so I ticked the box for that.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll do my second Alabama one, which I hesitated because it sort of maybe doesn't count, but I'm counting it. So it's The Dress Shop on King Street by Ashley Clark. It is some in Alabama. It is also some in Charleston. It is also some modern time and some historical. Not super like way back historical, but not modern.
Is it 1950s? Is it 1950s or 60s?
Yeah. And there's a snippet from before that, but it's not as prevalent. So it is a good read. It was a harder read for the subject matter. In the 50s, 60s timeline, the heroine is Black, but she's white passing, which matters in the South in the 50s.
I'm sure it did, yeah.
And so it tackles the issue of racism and segregation and integration and all of that really gently and beautifully, but it's a hard read because of the realities of what culture was at the time. So it's a great read. But again, it's not light. So if you're looking for light, this is not the one, but I would recommend it to anyone, especially if you're interested in that aspect of American history. You know, it's informative and well researched. I did also, it flips back and forth in time a little bit too much for me, that sometimes I had trouble following the threads. I don't mind a split time or a dual timeline book. Generally, this one I struggled a little bit sometimes with that, but again, worth it to go through. And so, like I said, it's not all in Alabama. Some of it, a lot of it's in Charleston, but I'm making it count anyway.
and a lot of books do take place in more than one place. Yeah. And so when we're trying to slot them, sometimes it's like, well, kind of partly here, partly there.
Yeah.
That's fine. So long as, you know, they spent at least a chapter there, I think we're good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe more than one chapter, but yeah. All right, Valerie, what you got?
So I was also thinking of Krista Phillips, and that a bunch of her books, not all of them, but several of them are set in Tennessee. And the one that I picked of hers is also in the same series as the one Narelle talked about, and it's A Nearly Normal Nanny.
I love that
And
one.
I mean, the daughter that you mentioned, of Sadie, is now a grown-up, and she's a nanny, and she doesn't realize that her boss's brother is coming to town, and he just like walks in the house as though he owns the place, and she decks him with a poker, because there's a stranger in the house and he's taking care of two small kids, right? So that's how they meet. Speaking of meet cutes, the one in A Kind of Country Christmas, at least there you have this extravagant Christmas tree falling and breaking a bazillion ornaments. But this one, you've got somebody decking somebody else over the head with poker. Yeah. Anyways, so of course, absolutely no intention of falling in love, whatever. So, but it is a mute cute, meet cute to remember. And as with everything with Krista, there's a lot of humor and well done humor in the whole series and everything else. And the other one, should I just say? Are you going to Krista Phillips or no?
I had the whole series down as well. So go ahead.
Okay. So the engagement plot also, a good part of it takes place in Nashville. So, and that's now a major motion picture. So,
right. I have yet to see it. I can't, it's never on when I can watch it.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I need to. I want to because I love Krista and I love her stories.
I haven't found it in Australia yet. I've been looking. I keep my eyes open. We get some movies and not others, depending.
Yeah, same in Canada. Yep. But yeah,
you have another one?
Essentially Tennessee, because that's where she lives.
Yeah, I do have another one, and this one talking about how books don't necessarily stay in the one location. I'm going to talk about Destination Romance by Amy R. Anguish, and we did a spotlight episode on this book. It was episode 78, so you can find all the details about this book and with Amy there. And this one, they travel through Memphis, Tennessee, and what I liked about it is that you sort of see Memphis as a tourist, if that makes sense. And I think that perspective is different to someone who lives there. And I mean, this book also hits the Gulf Coast, and I don't think they go to Alabama. I think they go the other direction. I could be wrong. So I don't think it actually hits Alabama.
Yeah, I can't remember which part of the Gulf. Alabama does have Gulf shores, so we'll call it
yeah. Yeah, but this one's basically a group of friends on vacation. There's a group of girls that are hanging out having a vacation road trip, and there's a group of boys, and they kind of meet up in New Orleans, and it's a really fun story, and I just really enjoyed that one. And I like the Tennessee elements in it and the Georgia elements.
In Nashville, doesn't it?
No, they end up in Atlanta. They go to Atlanta in the end, I think. End up in Georgia.
But then back to Tennessee. I'm pretty sure she's starting as a librarian, right? In Tennessee. Is that Nashville area? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Sorry, Amy.
Yeah.
But I think episode 78 will tell you everything. Go back to episode 78.
Actually read the book. That will tell you everything.
Yeah, read the book. It's in Kindle Unlimited, which I appreciate because it is with a small press, but it is also in KU. So you can read it either way. You can buy it or you can borrow it. Which as a newly converted fan to Kindle Unlimited, I get these books that aren't in KU now, and I'm like, darn it.
Real money is being spent.
That's right.
Yes.
Right, so my Tennessee pick, other than the Krista Phillips ones, which I figured I put them last because I'm like, I know we're all gonna get there. Is actually probably one of my favorites in Tennessee, and one of my, like, top 50, like, because I can't narrow it down, but I'd say it's, it's up there. It's one that I enjoy. I've reread it a couple times. It's good. Is Love is a Battlefield by Annalisa Daughety. She wrote some books set in national parks, and this takes place at the Shiloh National Military Park, which is in Tennessee. And it is a Civil War battlefield. And the heroine, Christy, had been a park ranger at Shiloh and had worked her way up to pretty high level. And then she left to go get married, and then got jilted at the altar. So, so she comes sort of back and is like, I guess I'll get my job back and etc. But they already filled the position. So she can get a job, but it's like the low level one where you have to dress up in the costume in the sweltering heat and show how the muskets were fired. And she's really kind of bitter about this, especially because the guy that filled her old job is this sort of cute, northerner. He's not like, he shouldn't be in this job. This is her job and she wants it back. And it's just, it's
that book.
cute. It is a cute book. It's funny. It's snappy dialogue. It's so much history. I think Annalisa was a park ranger, if I recall correctly.
She was, yeah.
Yeah, and so she has like fun details of life.
She did one on Grand Canyon as well, and there's a third one that
it's Washington D.C., like the Washington Monument, I think. Right. Yeah. And it's just fun. And again, park ranger is not the career that you read so many books about, right? Like who thinks of that? I mean, obviously, Annalisa. It's a great career choice. But it's unique and fun. And I enjoyed that book so much. I think it's the first book I read by Annalisa, and I really enjoyed it a lot.
She's a good author.
Yeah.
I don't know that she's still writing, but I
follow her on Instagram. It looks like she runs a dog daycare now.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. In Alabama. I want to say maybe in Alabama. Yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
But I hope she's happy doing that. But I love this book.
Miss her books too.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody have anything that we missed?
That's all I've got.
Yeah, that's all I had to. Once you guys stole all of Krista's books.
Sorry. Not sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
But we were very well behaved. We only talked about one at a time.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
I mean, you could talk about the other ones in that series.
I mean, we've mentioned all of them in other episodes at some point because it's the Something Serenade is the other one in the romance-ish. A sort of southern serenade. I think it's the lawn care guy, and she's all snotty, and he fires her as a customer as the meet cute because she's snobby about the lawn workers, and he's like, well, I actually do own the company. Here's your check back.
We could do a whole episode on Krista Phillips and meet cutes.
We should. Maybe we should see if we can get Krista.
I'm sure we could.
I bet she'd come talk about meet cutes. That could be fun.
Yes, she would.
Could be.
And rom-com kind of in general too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good idea. Write it down, Beth.
I am writing it down.
I'll never remember.
Hold on. I write slow. All right. Well, that sort of wraps up Tennessee and Alabama then. If you have a book that you have read that is set in Tennessee or Alabama that we missed, and it is a horrible thing that we missed it, or even if it's not a horrible thing that we missed it, we'd love to know what we did miss. Leave us a comment on our YouTube channel. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And we are still working on the birthday bash over on the blog. So if you haven't been reading every day over at inspiromance.com and commenting, start now, because every comment is an entry and we've got great prizes.
Yeah.
So
there are some good ones.
Really good prizes. So and then you'll get hooked and you'll have one more thing that you can read every day. It's a good thing. Books. About books.
Perfect.
We'll look forward to seeing you again next week. And in the meantime, don't forget to fall in love with a good book. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.